What does the upcoming Batman movie have in common with a Sherlock Holmes mystery? Like one of the original Sherlock Holmes mysteries from like the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle days? Well, Thomas Polito of Geeks Worldwide told us recently on Twitter. Here's what he said about the plot or the tone of the movie. I hear the movie is going to play out very much like a Sherlock Holmes story with Catwoman as Batman's Irene Adler and Riddler as his Moriarty. Reeves is also building a world similar to the animated shows and comics, where all the villains are already out there. He also gave like a follow-up tweet saying that Commissioner Gordon is going to serve like a Watson role. Now, why is this important? Well, number one, because it's cool, right? I think Matt Reeves has said before earlier that I think he implied, I don't think he necessarily directly said it, that his take on Batman, how his Batman might be different from previous, big screen Batman, is he was going to focus more on the detective, crime solving aspect of Batman, which is cool. I mean, Batman is one of the most famous analytical, logical detective superheroes in comics. We have not seen much of that in the movies though yet. Most of them focus on Batman as an action hero or Batman, because of the torture and trauma of his childhood, things like that. Things that are very appropriate for Batman, but there's a lot of other stuff they've left out. Like the detective, the brainy Batman. We haven't seen much of the brainy Batman in cinema yet. So I'm really excited to see Batman reflect that. Now, the whole Sherlock Holmes mysteries with Catwoman as Irene Adler, or similar to those types of roles, and Riddler as Moriarty. Irene Adler, I didn't know who Irene Adler was. I had to look her up. I know there's a character named Irene Adler in X-Men comics who's Destiny. That's a totally different thing. But apparently in the old Sherlock Holmes stories from way, way back in time, Irene Adler was someone whom Sherlock Holmes was investigating or tracking, but she was really smart and she outwitted him in this one case or something like that. And the character has been adapted in later Sherlock Holmes depictions, like in live action, like I think in the TV show, things like that, often as a love interest or whatever. But in the original Sir Arthur Conan Doyle stories, they didn't have any kind of romantic sexual thing going on. But Sherlock Holmes was very, he respected and admired her because she was he thought that she was kind of like his equal in terms of wits and intelligence. So them making Catwoman, someone who is slick and sly, who can, pull a fast one on Batman every now and then, that's very cool and accurate because that's what Catwoman often does in the comics, right? At least sometimes. Sometimes they write Catwoman as, she's hoodwinked by Batman like a lot of his other, famous rogues gallery people are. But there are other times when Catwoman is written as someone who is smart enough to, give Batman some trouble mentally, And plus, they're also, at least in current comics, they're romantically involved. And in, like I said, in other Sherlock Holmes interpretations in the big, just in TV and stuff, they have made Irene Adler, I think a love interest for Sherlock Holmes, if my research is right. And as for Riddler being Moriarty, we all know Moriarty is Sherlock Holmes' most famous villain. So that fits Riddler. I guess they might be making Riddler the main villain of this movie. And it would make sense because the Riddler is all about puzzles and mental confusion. He tries to challenge Batman with tests. So making him, a Sherlock Holmes types of villain where Sherlock Holmes is all about, his wits and his mind and his intelligence. It fits that to a character like that to challenge him as another villain who challenged him mentally. And the Riddler is definitely a good character for a detective type of Batman to be in opposition to, right? Because, Riddler challenges Batman's smarts. So this all sounds like really good information. And, Commissioner Gordon as Watson makes sense too, because Commissioner Gordon in the comics is basically Batman's buddy and, helper. So in the movie, Commissioner Gordon could be is probably going to serve the same role. Him and Batman will be, getting together, going over clues, serving each other, helping each other, on the case. Maybe Commissioner Gordon in this movie will have a bit more of an active role, actually. Because I think Watson often has a more active role in Sherlock Holmes stories, right? He's not just sitting on the sidelines. I think he gets involved quite often. So this is cool. All this information is great. If they make this a movie that focuses on Detective Batman, but with a lot of action scenes, I think this movie, like, it will be impossible for it to fail, especially with this cast. You know, all the actors announced, I think they're all very talented for these specific roles. So, I give it the thumbs up. But what do you think? Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.